Okay, we are in Shmuel Aleph, Samuel, the first Samuel, chapter 15, verse 5. I was told I should say this. Like this channel now, okay? Give it a thumbs up. Okay. There you go. It says, Vayavo Shaul ad ir Amalek. So Shaul came to the city of Amalek. Remember, he was, let's go back. He has a lot of people with him. He has 200,000 footmen, 10,000 men of Judah. Okay, and so now he's come as far as until the city of Amalek, Vayarev Benachal, and he fought in the valley. Yeah.
When it says there's 20,000 or
200,000
infantrymen or footmen, and then 10,000 men of Judah, what were the men of Judah?
They were already split.
No, I know, but what kind of, are they a specific sort of unit, or because there's infantrymen, which is a specific kind of unit, like foot soldiers?
Oh, I don't know. This
men of Judah.
Right. So I'm not sure if they had. I think we were just identifying that you have two groups: Bnei Israel, which are the northern kingdoms, will be the northern tribes, and the southern kingdom, which will be Judah.
You counted them in Talayim. What is Talayim?
Talayim was the name of the place. Right. That was the name of the place, and we said furthermore there was. Did he say anything else about that? I don't think there was anything else.
Yeah.
But what we're about to hear, his introduction is very cute, actually. It says, remember, Shmuel is telling him, you have to listen to what I'm about to tell you. And he's already told him to wipe him out. Right? This is, like we said, this is going to be a very hard thing to do. So, nonetheless, they get into battle at in this area. So Vayelchem Benachal, the Rashi explains that they fought in the valley. And they were really fighting about the matters of the valley. V'dan it small v'umah b'shvil nefesh achad amra Torah ruf egla v'nachal b'shvil kol nefashot ha'elu kol shkein im adam chei pehem alu machet. Okay, so fine. They're having an argument. This is a very interesting thing. Having a halachic argument about the egla. How do you say it? The decapitated calf. Well, what happened is, in the Torah we learned that if somebody was killed and we don't know who the murderer is, and he's just found in the road, what we do is all the rabbis, all the men of the leaders of the cities come and measure from the body to the towns to see who is closest, which town is closer. If he's equidistant, we have a problem. But let me just finish. Whichever town is closer, they have to bring a cow that was never used, never plowed with it, or a bull with it, was never used and never plowed, and they bring it to a valley that was never plowed, okay, and there's a place never plowed, and they decapitate the bull, and that place can never be planted, and that cow, of course, you can't do anything with. Why they do that? So besides it being a statute of the Torah, the rabbis give a very interesting explanation. Just as this person was killed, and he could no longer make fruit, there was mitzvot, or children for that matter, but he also this cow, this bull that could have been used for different things, no longer can get any benefit from it either. And the same thing with the valley. The Ramban says that the reason they would do it like that is because then people would talk. And as a result of talking, sooner or later they would find the murderer, and they could then punish the murderer. So that was an interesting thing. But that's the Egla Rufa.
A question on the measurement of the bodies in the cities. Do you measure from a point on the body, or because if measuring from foot to head, then if depending on which way the body's lying, he could be closer to another city. But if measuring from a point, say on the back, if you just measure from a point on the back, and you don't count it all the way to the head or whatever, then you get a better measurement, I would think.
You ask a fascinating question, which is asked by the rabbis, and the rabbis answer like this.
Really?
I was waiting, so I let him finish it because I want to just give him the credit for the question. Okay, either from the belly button for that very reason, or some people said the nose. The nose would give the head. So you're right. That won't win. The belly button is the middle. So
Interesting.
I like that one because it's closer to the center of gravity, which is what matters.
there you go. Yeah. So there's an argument about
The
that.
next question is, how could they measure?
By the way,
so
why they measure the nose? Because that's where the breath of life goes into. That's how Hashem gave us life.
Breathe.
Yeah. No, that's how
That's
Hashem
the breath breathed into his
Hashem
nostrils.
breathed into his nostrils. So that's where life begins. So that's what you're
Yeah, I
going to do. So
wonder
that would
how
be the
they-
argument. Well, I'm sorry. What was the other second? You had a question on that?
How would if they knew it was kind of like right in the middle of two villages or something? How would they measure so precisely?
Again, it was equidistant. You have a problem. They would have a rope. It wasn't exact. It was a rope.
I've seen a wheel that they walked along to measure
I would-
off
yeah.
the Egyptian pyramids.
Have a mark on the wheel. Yeah, that's
They walk and push.
it's how many
Okay.
rotations of the wheel. That would
Whatever
be-
the case is going to be, they would
they'd
figure
be
that
slow and
they
tedious
had a
when it
rope.
comes
By the way,
out.
they had a rope. It says they had a rope.
Ooh, that's
They had
a
a rope.
long rope.
Yeah, it's a long rope.
Whoa.
Whatever it is, they had a rope. Okay. I can't argue what they had. So,
You know what? It must be like it's just two little villages, or two little settlements that are really close together. That's got to be the reason. I mean, if it's far, far away between two different towns, it should become a lot more obvious that which is closer.
No, this obviously was close to a town, and the reason the rabbis, the reason the elders are getting involved in is because, again, we're getting too far afield, but just to finish it off, the reason that they would do this is because they were arguing that we didn't cause the death. And it was the elders of the town. We made sure that he had food. We made sure he had he had provisions, and that we accompanied him on his way. We didn't leave him. It's not our fault
He
that this
was
happened.
murdered in a particular town, so
Right.
that town needs to take responsibility.
Right, that's all. So here he brings down in number 5, just so you can see it. He says, talking about this whole thing. So the rabbi said, you don't have it. You don't have it. You may have it there. I'm not sure, but I know we have the same books for this. So our rabbi said, concerning the valley, he argued and concluded thus: if for the sake of the soul, the Torah said, decapitate a calf in the valley, there you go. How much more for the sake of these souls? If man has sinned, what have the animal sinned? So, which means if the adults have sinned, what have the children sinned? Bat Kol reverberated and said, be not overly righteous more than your Creator. Saul was very much concerned about the great loss of life involved in the destruction of Amalek. He reasoned that since the Torah requires the elaborate ritual of decapitating a calf in the valley upon discovery of an unidentified murder victim, the value of life is very great. In that case, why should innocent children and animals be destroyed? So they explained that the Satan, the heavenly prince of Amalek, whose very being was threatened by the impending destruction of his people, without whom he cannot exist, beclouded Shaul's mind, and I have to.
Distorted. Here, yeah.
Where is it?
You got to go to the left.
Oh, it's the next page.
Yeah.
There you go. It got stuck. And destroyed his reasoning. The Bat Kol, the heavenly voice, which in all probability was the voice of his conscience. Oh, that's interesting. Went unheard. Okay. So that's what Shaul's doing. He's setting up a certain the question is going to be, why didn't Shaul follow the edict? Destroy everybody. That's going to be the question. So Rashi's already giving us the midrash to tell us that he had already a logic going on. If in a case where one person is murdered, and so now we have to go through all this rigmarole with the Egla Rufa showing life is important. So how can I wipe out the children? What did the children do wrong? They didn't do anything. I understand the adults. The adults are not a problem. Logically, they're not a problem. So that's really what's going to happen. Now, let's go. The Malbim will say on this whole thing. It says, and they fought again. This is from the Malbim. Okay. This is not from the statute of the kings. The Tagab and Milchama below is that you don't just enter into war without something going on. Is alake inyan mali velach was going between me and you. Kivati elai lechem be'artzi, that you are coming to fight me. Malem so bikei sham mariva benachal. So now they sought to find a reason. Well, the argument in the valley Shavlefnei Arei Amalek, that was before the city of Amalek. Shaul Amar. Because Shaul said, "Shanachal ve'bika shayach elav," that the valley and the two valleys here are equal. Amalek Rav Imo Alzeh. And so the Amalekis fought with them on this because they were arguing that a nachal and a bika, two types of words for valleys, are equal. So anything to have a nice argument going on, we have an argument about that. Great. Ad until they're going to go to war over this apparently. Begam zem or shalokayim a mitzvah, and also with this to teach that he did not fulfill the mitzvah as it was fitting. He shouldn't have had to look for a reason. It should have been enough that Hashem commanded him to do it. Like with David, who's hello misanecha Hashem esnam, as King David said, the ones who hate you I will hate, and the ones who stand against you I will curse. Lo riv acher asher lo Hashemhu, and I'm not going to fight something that's not. I'm only going to fight Hashem's fights. Fine. So now what happens? So back to the verse. Vayom Shaul el-Keni. So now Shaul says to the Kenites, L'chu, go. Suru Radu mitoch Amaleki. Turn away and go down from amongst the Amaleki. Pen osivcha imo, lest I will add you with him. In other words, I'm going to attach you to him and I'll have to destroy you. V'yatashita chesed in kol b'nei Yisrael, and you, why am I being so nice to you? Because you did kindness with all of the children of Israel when they went up from Mitzrayim. So what happens? V'yasar Keni, and so the Kenites turned mitoch Amalek, away from the midst of Amalek. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I don't think it mentioned, at least in the scripture, specifically the Canaanite or the
Kenites, yeah.
Right. Is this a different name for a people that was mentioned in Exodus, or is this just this was just something that wasn't mentioned but happened?
These are, just I'll answer the question like this. These are the children of, or descendants of Yitro.
Oh, okay. So
Yes, so they were mentioned before. So as Rashi is B'nai Yitro, these were the children of Yitro, Shayoshvem B'midbar Yehuda, they were living in the wilderness of Yehuda, B'negev in the south, Arad Halchu Eitzel Yavat, so they went to Yavet, Limo Torah, to learn Torah. The Arad, who Amalek and Arad was, where Amalek is Haknani. The Canaanite was Melech Arad Amalek. Haknani Melech Arad Amalek Haya Shenem Vayoshev Beneg. So Amalek. So apparently they were living in the southern part. That's where Yitro was. That's where his children were, and they went there to learn Torah. So they went into a bad neighborhood. All yeshivas are bad neighborhoods apparently. I've never seen yeshiva in a good neighborhood. Go to YU, it's right in the middle of Spanish Harlem. It used to be a nice neighborhood. JTS, the conservative, is right in the middle of Harlem.
Yeah?
They're in Harlem. They're at 122nd. I would...
They've been there forever, before it was like...
Yeah, before. Well, it was always Harlem, but...
Haven't wanted to move.
Right. And that, you can't move, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then I wonder where in Cincinnati... If HOs with the reform, whatever it's called.
Hebrew Union College.
Thank you, HUC Hawk, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're in a good area. You would have to know from, if the area's changed for them too. Yeah. But it seems that every single yeshiva is in a bad area.
Boy.
And it's been going on apparently forever because Amalek was there. Maybe Amalek wants to learn Torah. I don't know what he was doing there, but he can't. Yeah, what was the question?
So the children of Egypt became their own nation, the Kenites?
Well, they were their own nation. In other words, they were always their own nation.
But they weren't. In Exodus, they weren't called the Kenites. They were just
not Canaanites. Kenites.
Right? They weren't called the Cani.
They were called Canaan. Back in the Torah, they're called Kenites. Cani. Yeah. Okay. So Im Kol Bnei Israel, so they were with all Bnei Israel. Shenagu Mitzvot Moshe, because they were benefiting from the meal of Moshe and Aaron, all the elders of Israel. Very mala alav ki'ilu asa ches, and that's as if. So now the verse considers it as if they did kindness with all of Bnei Israel. Fine. So they're living there, and that's all from, again, from Rashi is telling us this from Yitro. So Malbim says, V'yomer shol elakeni, he says, V'nachal zeh, in this valley, he told them, they were there. Ro et sono, Rashi is saying that they were learning Torah. Malbim is saying it was a valley, so therefore they had sheep there. They were shepherds, and they were shepherding their sheep. Kihem hayush shochne ohalim. They were dwellers of the tents. Amalei sheyasam kol milchama. And so he said, could you please move from the area? We're about to have a war. Okay? And I don't want to sweep you up with the rest of them, so I'm doing you kindness. Amalek, this is the opposite of the actions of Amalek. Shanilcham bam, that fought against them. Mikra achel tzadik v'rasha. And so they didn't want to have, there's no happenstance between a righteous person and a wicked person. There's no mikra there. And so he says, penasifcha. Okay, let's just give me a grammatical point there. So he doesn't want to get them to be mixed up with them. Fine, so he's giving you a warning. Please get out of the area. By the way, that has not changed until this very year, until this very time. And it was whenever the Jews go to war, what do? I'm talking about now. They drop leaflets, they send out messages, please leave the area, we only want the criminals, we don't want anybody else, get out, lest you get swept up with everybody else. It is the most amazing thing that we're doing that to this very day. But we can see that it has very old roots.
Didn't the United States do that too before they dropped the bombs on Japan?
Could be.
I don't know about Japan. I thought maybe someplace in Iraq or someplace, maybe we did the same thing.
Probably so.
Could be.
I think so.
It's very nice, but I'm saying when you do that, you're showing that you are not an animal, that you care about life, but we have to get rid of the insurgents. That's all. Or in this case, the enemy who, and again, this is all from God telling us they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they have to, but they're going to break the rule as a result of that. But they're only going to war because they were told by God to go to war. Now, a holy war is always a dangerous thing to do for all the people out there today who want to claim that God's telling them things. God doesn't. The last I heard, God doesn't speak to any of us that we can hear at this point. So if anybody's going to blame God on wars today, they're a little off center. We have to all understand that. But in these days, God was speaking to them. So V'yach Shaul et Amalek. So Amalek, So Shaul smote Amalek, Michavilah, Bo'ach Ashur, from Chavila until he came to Shur, which is another place. Ashir al Panei Mitzrayim. That was nearby Egypt, in front of Egypt, they want to say. I'm not sure what that means. In front of, I would say nearby. Okay,
Like
so.
Twin Cities, I guess.
Say it again?
Like a Twin Cities or something. Now, this wasn't very long into their journey from Egypt. They hadn't gotten very far.
No. Egypt is 100 years before.
Why? It took 40 years to get.
What happened was, we have Moshe. Moshe takes them out of Egypt, right? So at the end of the 40 years, Moshe dies. Joshua takes over. Joshua lives so he was 80 years old. So that's another 30 years that he lives. Another 30 years that he lives. I think he was 80 years old at that point. And he was the king. Then you had a period of shoftim, judges, that would last a couple of hundred years. And then you had the last one being Shmuel. Then Shmuel would he would anoint Shaul. So you're at least 400 years into the future after Egypt.
How many years?
I think 400.
400.
I'm pretty sure it's 400 years already.
After the Exodus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. 400 years. I would have to look on the actual numbers, but it's very far removed from Egypt. Yeah.
So if they're being pushed down towards Egypt and they started in the south of Israel, they're almost out of Israel now. They're on the border.
Okay.
Because if I'm trying to remember like the map of ancient Israel, they bordered Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm. They still border Egypt.
Right. But
Okay, but they still border Egypt, right?
But the Amalek have been pushed down to that border near them.
Well, they were down there already.
Right,
They're already down there. So now I'm just pushing you.
Right, by the fact that they point out, they don't mention that they're by Egypt when they say they're in the south of Israel, but now they mention that they're by Egypt.
They pushed them so they came to shore, which is facing Egypt apparently. Shore, if you see shore, could see. It's like we used to say in Maine. It's not the end of the world, but you can see it from here. But there were certain parts of me you said that about. But that's what it is. Yeah. So you could see it from there. That's what I'm guessing. Al Panei Mitzrayim, which again they say which is in front of. I'm not sure what the actual thing was. It's by the way, in the 1967 war, when the Israelis pushed the Arabs back, they pushed them way off their borders, and so one of the lines of the war, I think it was Moshe Dayan, said we were thinking of pushing them back to Egypt, but they told us not to. They told us to hold off. Somebody made that line, so yeah, it's not. I mean,
And they pushed them well into the Sinai, right?
past. They took over the whole Sinai. They owned the Sinai at that point.
Well, that's Egypt then, already.
Suez Canal.
Now it's Egypt.
No, I mean, if you push them out of the Sinai, they're in Egypt. They're pushed them back.
Oh, okay, there you go. Because
The
what
entire
happened?
Sinai, yeah.
What happened was we owned those oil fields.
Yeah.
We owned them, and then the pullback was that was Carter. I think Carter is the one who had that. Who's the one who made peace?
Probably.
Was that Carter or was that
Begin,
Clinton?
Is that where they were?
Menachem Begin.
hands?
Right. So who was the one who made peace with Egypt?
So 60,
That was Carter or that was Clinton?
Well, so Carter was. No wait. So Carter wasn't until 70. So whenever Carter was 70, elected in 76.
No, but I'm telling you, they pulled
They
back
might-
with either the one who made it
When
was
they pulled
Sadat,
back, they made it.
Anwar Sadat. So I think that was Clinton. Clinton was, I'm pretty sure that was who it was. So they pulled back at that point. I was in college. They pulled back,
Yeah.
and they gave away the oil
The
fields.
entire Sinai. Yeah.
They gave it away. And it was supposed to be a demilitarized zone.
Yeah.
And of course, the Egyptians rolled their tanks in that day. And the world shut up. Certain things you don't forget. The world just shut up. We don't care. If it would have been us, they would have condemned us for whatever. But because the Egyptians, that day, it didn't take long. The Israelis pulled out from Sinai, the militarized zone, pulled their tanks in. And they made it militarized. Okay.
That's like what's it called? There
It's called breaking the treaty.
No, I know, but there was a thing like when England and France was breaking up the Middle East from the Ottomans, they broke up Turkey and then all the what's it called, all the Syria, whatever those areas. They were going to break up an area for the ethnics, what are they called, the Kurds. There was
Right.
an area for Kurdistan, but the Turks, it was right next to the Turkish border, and the Turks were like, oh, that's ours now, and England and France were like, okay.
Right. Okay, there you go. So the same thing here. So now what happens? Vayid posted Agag melech Amalek. So he grabbed Agag, which was the king of Amalek. He got Agag, and apparently he seized him. Fine. Chai, he got him alive. But the rest of the nation he destroyed according to the sword. Fine. He kills everybody, but keeps the king. And what happens? So now Shaul and the nation had compassion on Agag, and on the good, and on the best of the sheep, Bakar and the cattle, Mishrim and the Vyalakarim, and also the fatlings and on fattened sheep. V'akol atov, and on all the good. V'lo avu hacharimam, they did not want to destroy them. V'chol hamalacha nimvazav v'nam esutam, but everything which was vile and feeble, ota hechamiru, that they destroyed. Okay, so what happened? Did they listen to God or not?
What?
Did they listen to God or not?
Nope.
Well, yeah, I
didn't listen.
asked this last time, and you said
Right.
we would have to let. On what basis did that pity come?
Oh.
When they were told essentially, take no prisoners.
Good. It's great. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Again, Rashi already told you before that what he did was he made a kol v'chomer in his mind. He learned in his mind that said, if Igla Rufav, I'm going to kill a calf because one person died, one innocent person died. So how can I kill innocent children? And again, the same thing for the sheep, and I'm also get benefit from it. That was where he was coming from. He was wrong, so he took compassion. And so, let's see. Anybody speak over here very quickly? Or let's go to him. Okay, the Malbim starts. So the Malbim says, Po, what it says he had compassion. It says, Po be'er hatam hasheni madu'alod nikabel tshuvto shal. And now we come to the second reason why God did not accept the teshuvah of Shaul. Why didn't he accept it? Right? Because Shaul, what did Shaul do? He made a couple mistakes in his career. And suddenly God rips the kingdom away. And so why? It says, Ki yesh hevdil bein hapalim hanerdafim chamal. Because there's a difference between the people who are pursuing something that would have, and they have compassion, chus v'rachim, and different types of compassion. Because the compassion does not only go from man to man, because it balls a person to see the destruction of one another. So now you have this compassion just going over everything. And there's also a distinction between when you have compassion because of the needs, of his needs for something. Like a person who has compassion on his money, on his vessels, when they belong to him. Right? We don't like to destroy our own stuff. We like our stuff. So it could be, I don't want to kill somebody because it's a person. How can I kill another person? Or I have compassion on my stuff. How can I let my stuff go? How can I let that be destroyed because it's mine? Right? So there's two types of compassion here. So a chemla to gam al davar she'en lo to el b'meno. And there's also, lots of place. I'm sorry. And the compassion is also on something that has no to elis. Purpose for him. Rosh Shofei B'sichlo, but rather he just judges in his own mind. She'ein roy lahashket davar. That's not proper to destroy such a thing. V'kumo tov b'yoter. It's better to leave it around. V'nei lo his hiru Hashem bal yichus o bal yirachem ala Amalek. And behold, Hashem did not warn him about not to have compassion or not to have compassion on Amalek, because these are the intents of people. Also when they're fulfilling the words of Hashem, with all this, he should have awoken in his compassion and have a pain in his heart to kill innocent children, or yachus or also the compassion to and to be bothered by destroying of the booty that he could have got benefit from. But the matter of this compassion was one of thought, because they thought that it's not fitting and it's not just to destroy them. And that wasn't a righteous thing, that it was not a righteous thing that the Navi, that the prophet was commanding. This is a horrible sin. Now, you're questioning the prophet. You're questioning the prophet, you're questioning God. That you can't do. Yeah, it's true that when I go into a war, when I go into certain things, it's normal to have compassion on it's normal to have compassion on people. It's normal to have compassion on innocents. It's normal to have compassion on your stuff. But when you start second guessing the prophets, that's a bad situation.
Is there any correlation between this being the opposite of Abraham being tested to kill his only son? And then at the end he said, once he knew that he was going to go through with this, then the order came not to do it.
Right. So you could make that comparison, and that's why Avram was rewarded generationally to this very day, and that's why Shaul was punished generationally to this very day, because he didn't accept that. Right. The major difference between Shaul and Avram, though, to be fair, is that Avram talked to God, and Shaul was being told by Shmuel what to do. So he's questioning Shmuel. Did Shmuel get the message right? Because God didn't say it to him. If God would have said to him, then it would be you're in worse shape than ever. If God's telling you to do something, you have no choice. You have to do it. But if the prophet's telling you, I heard that God told me to tell you, so now I can question, well, maybe Shmuel didn't get it right. Now, the problem is, of course, that Shmuel was a tested prophet. So if I have a tested prophet, one who I know is valid, gets the story right every time, then what right do I have to question him? Okay, and that he was a tested prophet. It wasn't like he was just woke up that day and said, hey, I'm a prophet, let me tell you something, this is going to happen. So that's really the problem. So it says, Avon Palili. He wrote to the Chakim negative Hashem because he wanted to become wiser than Hashem as a word. That's why he was commanded, don't have compassion on him. Rach lemor, which means to say, Al takshov machshava. Sheroi lekamav shalosh chito. Don't think in your mind that it's proper to keep him alive and not to destroy him. Uve'emet bezeh, and truth in this, Nichshal Shaul Shechamal al Agag V'al Meitav Hetzon, and in truth, in this Shaul tripped that he had compassion on Agag and then on the good of his on the best of his sheep. Ubezeh Hera Ki Hamuna Mitrofefet Biyado, and with this act he showed that his emuna, his faith in God, was weak. Because if it wasn't, he never would have thought this proper to have compassion on the enemy of God. And because of this thought pattern, he also sinned in actuality. And they didn't want to destroy them. So the verse tells us that he also had compassion on the best of the cattle and the fatlings and so on and so forth, which are the Beinonim, Shehem, Shniyim v'madrigla meitav. So notice, I understand the best. Melvin says, okay, you have compassion on the best, but now you also have on the Mishnah, which we translate it as not the fee, but the middle stuff. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. What was the translation? The translation was the fattened sheep. The fattened sheep. Okay, the Mishnah from Shaman, the fattened sheep, but they were the middle already. They weren't the best. They're just getting a little fat. So he said so he dragged it even to there. So the only thing he destroyed was the worst, the weak stuff. That's the only thing he destroyed. Now, 1 second. When you do that, by the way, what is in ours? Let's go back to what I said last week. If I destroy everything, good, bad, and ugly, so what happens? Everybody understands what? It's God's will. I wasn't going in for territory. I didn't go in for the possessions. I didn't go in for normal reasons of war. I went in, wiped it all out, and I get nothing for it. I didn't even take the territory over. I just wiped everything out. So that's proving God that once I go in and I take the possessions, and I even grab the king, Chaparai and the king, because the king is the king, and I want to show my trophy. You know, when you go hunting, what's the first thing you do? You cut the head off whatever you did. You put it in your wall. Hopefully you've stuffed it before you did that. But you put it on the wall and you say, I did this. You get the big fish. Again, you got the fish. You put it on the wall. That's my trophy.
All those pictures of rednecks, I don't know if that's actually a deer, but they strap the deer to the front of the entire deer in front of the car.
There you go. Put it on the car. That's my trophy. Yeah. So here, Agag goes my trophy. That's not what I wanted. I don't want trophies. I want this, I don't want that. I want you to simply do what I told you. Since he didn't do that, and he only destroyed the negative, so everybody looks and says, you're a liar. God didn't tell you to do it. God's too good to destroy innocent people. So you did. You wanted to do it, and you kept the trophy. Shkayach. I mean, the trophy's going to be gone in a couple minutes, as we'll find out, because Shaul will kill him. But you should have killed him. But Shaul didn't do it. What's your question?
When I said before to kill everything, an animal, one of
Yeah.
the reasons was the witchcraft of Amalek to let them turn into animals.
Yeah.
So, did any of them survive through that witchcraft? No, because they all sacrificed animals, didn't they?
Sorry.
That's the reason they saved the animals, was for sacrifice. So,
Well, we'll see what goes on with the animals. But did any of them survive? I have no idea. It's certainly, Amalek today, we still remember Amalek. So Amalekis have survived some way. And they say that Agag, even though he was killed very shortly thereafter, he had a child. So, and that child would live on.
But I just wondered, I just remembered, I didn't know about the
Right.
animals, but seeing as they got
Well, they have right. So they have the big animals. So now what's going to happen? Are they going to? Is an animal going to survive? Did anybody turn into animals? All those. We'll have to stop here though, because I have to go to school.